This here is my Ryobi battery-powered chainsaw, and this here is my new Husqvarna gas-powered chainsaw. Which one is better or faster? Let's find out. This here is my battery-powered Ryobi chainsaw that I've had for about 8 months now. And it's been really great for smaller tasks around the property. But now that we have had 5 big trees cut down and I'm cutting a lot of wood up myself, I decided to also get a petrol chainsaw that might have a little more power to see which ones of these two machines I prefer. You can never have enough machines or tools, right? So now that I have 2 chainsaws, one battery powered and one petrol powered, why not compare them and check out the differences and see which one is best and fastest? This here is a Husqvarna 135 Mark II. And this here is the battery powered chainsaw. It's called Ryobi OSC1830, I think. Really cool name, right? And as mentioned, I've had this Ryobi chainsaw for about 8 months, and the Husqvarna I just bought around a month ago. So I have gotten a little experience with both of them by now. And as a complete beginner with cutting up firewood, there's one big difference I immediately noticed, and that's the noise. This gas-powered chainsaw is a lot louder than the battery-powered one. It's impossible to capture it on video, but in real life the difference is big. Another big difference is ease of use. As mentioned, I'm a total rookie when it comes to cutting firewood, and the Ryobi chainsaw is super user-friendly. It hardly requires any maintenance or know-how to use it. And I think that's one of the big advantages generally with battery-powered tools. They usually just work. All you have to do is add chainsaw oil here, pop in the battery here, and that's it. To start it, you simply push the safety handle back, slide this button forward and press the trigger. For quick jobs like cutting small logs or just making a few cuts, it's great to have a quiet and easy to start tool. Even though I really love this Husqvarna chainsaw already and I'm gonna use it a lot, there are still plenty of times when I reach out for the battery powered instead, because it's just quicker and easier for smaller tasks. Okay, let's now talk about the Husqvarna chainsaw. I've never owned a real chainsaw before, a real gas-powered chainsaw. This is my first. And the first time I had to start it up, it took me quite a few tries. I think you need a bit of a feel for it or some experience to get a hang of it. And this again comes back to ease of use. Because in the beginning, I think I might have flooded the engine a couple of times. When it's cold, you need to use the choke and also press this fuel pump a couple of times. I've also been told that when the engine is completely cold, it's a good idea to pull the starter cord a few times without force, just to circulate things a little bit, like this. Once it's warmed up, starting it again after a short break is much easier. Usually a single pull is enough, and you don't need to use the choke or fuel pump anymore. Just like the battery-powered, the Husqvarna chainsaw also needs chainsaw oil, but it also requires petrol. This here is a 2-stroke engine, so it needs 2-stroke fuel. You can mix the fuel yourself, but I'm not at that level yet. Instead, I have bought pre-mixed fuel cans from the hardware store. You can also get them from a gas station. Another difference is that the Husqvarna petrol-powered of course runs a lot longer on a full tank of gas than the battery chainsaw does on a single battery charge. So as with most tools, there are pros and cons to both. But let's test them both and make a few cuts to see how they perform. Let's do a comparison and see how long a cut takes. So that was the first cut. Let's do one more. And that was 2 cuts in a medium-sized log with the Husqvarna. Let's see the speed of the Ryobi. So this here is quite a bit thicker. Let's test out the difference on this one. Okay, cool. Let's try the Ryobi. So a significant difference, but for trunks this thick, I think I'd go with the Husqvarna any day. For these kinds of smaller branches, the difference is really not that big. So it really does depend on what level of log you're cutting. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a notable difference in speed. So for larger jobs, that can quickly add up in time. All in all, I'm really happy to have both machines actually. When I want to work for a longer time and do larger piles of wood, I grab the Husqvarna. But for smaller tasks around the property, or when you just want some peace and quiet while still working in the garden, I definitely go for the Ryobi. Both tools are great in their own way. If you're deciding between a battery or a petrol chainsaw, it really depends on how much cutting you'll do and whether or not noise is an issue. For me, the low noise is a huge advantage, and one of the reasons that I often prefer to take this one with me, even though the cuts take a bit longer. Professionals will probably go for the Husqvarna as the more serious tool, and this is also definitely made for more serious use, like cutting up all of this wood I have here. But for casual use, the Ryobi is often more than enough. So, what is better? Speed and professional quality, or low noise and low maintenance? As you can see, I chose both. Last winter we discovered that we had mice and rats on the property, but we thought we had solved the issue with help from the local rat catcher from the municipality. But guess what? They're back. We've caught some footage of them on one of our cameras strolling along the patio door. And not only that, they have chewed holes in our floors, both here in the living room and here in the office. So the rat catcher has been here and set up traps again. Back here in the garden, the guy from the municipality, the rat catcher, has put up this box here, and also one over here and one here. And after a week that these has been here, he was by and there was mice in every rat box. So we are catching a lot of mice, but no rats unfortunately. So besides these 3 boxes here, he has also put up some extra boxes other places on the property. One is right here. And so far there is no poison in any of these boxes, he told me. It's just traps that will clamp down on whatever goes in there and trap them that way. We asked him about if rat poison wasn't more effective, and he said yes, it is, but then we risk a lot of bad smells in the house, he said, because he suspects that most of these rats and mice live under our house, and if they eat the rat poison and crawl back in under the house and lay in there and die, then we will have a horrible odor in the house for a couple of months, he said. So they prefer not to use the rat poison out of consideration for us, but if we wanted to, he could easily put some rat poison. But we decided to try with these traps to start with. But when the rat catcher was here, we of course walked around the property and looked at the house, and he said besides putting up these boxes, we have to do something ourselves as well, because there are a lot of places where there's a lot of holes where rats can get in, because we have some air ducts here that of course serves to ventilate under the house, and they're supposed to be there, but he told me there's supposed to be a metal mesh in there to stop rats and mice to go in there. But that's missing in this corner, but there's one more here, and that actually has the metal mesh. So and that's supposed to look like this. I'm not sure if these are something that can be bought anywhere, but he told me it's a good idea to go to the hardware store and buy some chicken wire, and not just put in the chicken wire, because the holes in that is actually too large. The mice can go through that. But if I crumble it up and put it in, then that usually does the trick. And chicken wire is the cheapest thing to buy, so that was what he recommended. But when we walked around the house and looked at these places where I need to do something myself, he of course also noticed that all along the house here in the courtyard, there are tons of places where mice and rats have easy access to get under the house. And this is not good at all, he said. As long as we have all these holes where mice and rat can get in, no matter how many traps he puts up, we won't get rid of the problem. So we have to do something. And the reason that we have all these holes under the foundation of the house is that this summer that we had all this timber in this timber frame house renovated. But unfortunately, that project has been quite a bit delayed. There's only 2 things missing for it to be complete. And the most serious thing is the mortar that has to go under this wooden beam at the bottom of the house. But this cannot be done while it's frost and winter. So, and unfortunately this was a long time to dry, and it didn't get finished before winter came, and now we can't really do anything about this until the spring comes and the frost is over. So the rat catcher from the municipality said I really have to do something about that now. So I've been to the hardware store to buy a lot of chicken wire, and I now have to go around the whole house and every place that a mice might be able to get in. I will have to put this chicken wire in, and I think that's going to be a lot of places. So I've been out to get these 3 rolls of chicken wire. I hope it's enough. Maybe it's way too much, I really don't know. I have no idea how much I'm supposed to use. I think this might be way too much, but yeah, this is too much. It won't go in. Okay, that's better. Much smaller piece. And this last stretch here of the house, the last third, I would say, in total, that's going to require quite a lot of chicken wire, because it's almost everywhere that it's completely open. So yeah, this is probably going to take a little time. So this was all the way down here, I think. But this was just the courtyard side. Now we also have this whole edge here, where there's also a lot of places they can easily sneak in. Oh my lord, I just noticed this hole here, right next to where I'm just working. Is that a mice or a rat hole? Must be a rat hole, it's too big for mice. We have these animals everywhere. It wouldn't make sense to put chicken wire in there, because then they'll just dig a hole next to it, won't they? Maybe I should try and put some in. See, here's again a ventilation hole that's supposed to have a metal grate. It had some rocks in front of it, so I guess that's a little help, but I'm gonna put in some chicken wire. That should now be covered up. And see, here's again one of those situations where I'm not completely sure what to do, because there might be a grate behind this stone here, but there's a lot of soil here, and this stone is very hard up against the wall, but I feel like I need to remove it in order to make sure. I'm gonna put some chicken wire in there. See, here's one more of these ventilation channels, and this plastic piece from what looks to be a gutter or something was just stuffed in here. Here on the garden side of the house, it's going to be quite difficult, because there's a lot of plants. Actually, they have thorns, all of them. So I think I need to go get some garden tools in order to clear this a little out. I'm guessing they have had problems with these air vents under the house before, because everywhere they are, they're completely bricked up with these old yellow bricks that they have been using for everything. And this old metal grate that's supposed to be there actually lies here. I'm not sure how that's supposed to fit. It's like it's missing something. Looks like we have a place here as well. Oh, that actually has the... would you look at this? This seems to be... No, it's not complete. It's something homemade, I think. It is metal, but it's just stuck through. I wonder if that's good enough. I think it probably is, since it's still here intact. I think for now I'll just leave this in place, since it's not broken. Oh, and look over here. I just noticed a huge hole in the ground here. Holy smokes, that's a lot of rocks they've placed here. But look at this hole. Whew. I wonder if that goes under the house. And what is this coming out of this ventilation hole here? That looks nasty. Oh, what is that? I don't want to touch it. Almost seems like an apple. That's an apple. Oh my god, they have tried to get an apple in under the house. Ew, this is not good. I think I should maybe try to see what's under here, since there's all these huge holes. I've now dug down quite a bit and I can't really see any holes down here. This here is still rock, and the big hole I showed you in the beginning was just around there, and I think they've just used that to get around all of these bricks that were placed here, and then they've probably crawled up and used this hole. So I think I'll cover this up again and of course keep an eye on it to see if there's any more activity here. And see right next to here, you can actually see where some of probably all of these mice and rats have been eating of all of these apples from the apple tree. Yeah. So that was the entire house all the way around, and I feel pretty confident I got all the holes and cracks where mice and rats might be able to get in. I have actually also online ordered a sort of a bucket with a tip lid that's supposed to catch mice and rats very effectively as well. I asked the rat catcher from the municipality if he recommended that kind of trap, and he hesitated a bit, and then he said, well, you can never really do too much, so try it out. I'm gonna try that out as well and see if we can catch anything that way. Yesterday I put a lot of the chicken wire underneath the house, and I also noticed, of course, that the rats and the mice had been eating our apples here in the garden. So Simon has now started collecting all the apples with his feet. Yeah, and I think tomorrow he's going to put them in a wheelbarrow and dispose of them somewhere on the property.
As you can see, I'm using a very old, well-proven method.
Yeah.
Just called kicking.
The kicking method.
Kicking the fruit.
It's a very large area for the kicking method, don't you think?
Yeah.
Maybe not?
But it's all right, I think. Maybe I won't get it all done today, but...
But there are tons of apples here on the ground, so no wonder. And we had only thought about that maybe this would be a great food for the birds. So it was actually in good faith that we left them here on the ground. We didn't think that, of course, rats and mice would also have a feast here. I have also been walking around the house this morning to see if any of the chicken wire had been tampered with, and it doesn't look like it. But I don't think the mice and rats were very happy yesterday. There was really loud noises coming from under the floor in the living room. So I think they were trying to get out and didn't like being trapped. But when I walked around and checked all this chicken wire to see if there was any places they had tampered with it, I noticed, because we also have noises coming from these outer parts of the walls by the roofline that we can't really get to. And also in between the two floors we can hear there's activity. And I've just been out to check if there's any place that animals can get in. And this whole section here is actually very, very open because there's a board missing. Over here you can see the board is intact. I'm not going to try to install this kind of board myself, because when summer comes, this part of the roof will have replaced. And I think he will put in this new kind of board over in this part as well. This is the only place it's missing. So I think I'll grab some more chicken wire and actually try to put it along here to cover this up. And I've been walking around the whole house to see if there's any leaks or any holes that animals might be able to get in. And besides this wooden board missing in this edge, there's only a few holes here. Actually right here in this area there is definitely an option for them to get in. So while Simon is collecting apples in the garden, me and Phoebe, it looks like, we'll put some chicken wire right here in this hole and then along this edge over by the end of the house there. Whoa, have a look here. I think this is a bird's nest. Let me try and grab it. But it's interesting to look in here because you can sort of see that there's this outer shell of white bricks and then there's an inner shell of AAC blocks or light concrete blocks, I think that might be called as well. It'll be interesting this summer when this whole part of this thatched roof gets pulled off and we get to see the insides, but I need to cover this up in the meantime. I think that's it. But yeah, let's see if this will make any difference. Holy moly! Phoebe and I are taking a stroll in the garden like we usually do, and this is our walnut tree where we've had a branch cut off, and I just noticed that this branch over here is swaying quite a bit. It is windy today, so but is this about to fall off? It looks like it's completely rotten up here. I wonder if I can just poke it and make it fall. Oh, did you hear that? It's completely rotten. That was quite a big branch. Oh, and even in the middle it's so rotten that it just broke apart. I think this branch might be the same, and this here is quite a bit smaller, but that also looks very dead and very rotten. I actually think I heard someone say that walnut trees are always a little bit rotten inside for some strange reason. Not sure what that's about, but maybe this one's just old. Not really sure. Whoa, that was this one and this one, and I'm willing to bet you that this one is the same story. But I'm not gonna do that today. That looks very heavy, that branch. Okay, great. Now Phoebe and I can continue our, our walk in the garden. In addition to all the outdoor work, Simon has been busy renovating the room next to the living room, which will become an office. And he has done everything in that room himself, from tearing down the ceilings, to plastering walls, sanding and painting. So quite a big job he has tackled while I've been busy cutting wood. So that's quite an achievement.
I've learned a lot. And looking at the result now, there are definitely things I can see that could have been better, but
like what?
I mean, I guess it's what do you call it, the plastering of the walls, especially like if you, I don't know if you can see it.
Ah, yeah, you can sort of see there's a small indentation, or what you'd call it.
It's not even anyway.
Actually, I think it just adds to the ambience of this being old walls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind either. I guess I thought the paint would cover it up, but now I know the next time that it won't. But I mean, I don't mind considering what it was like before. I mean, over here, it was just like a huge hole in the wall almost.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is an old building. It is an old house, so.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it at all either. I don't think it needs to be perfect because this is a very old house and we're not trying to make it into sort of a modern type feel. So, so imperfections here and there, I don't mind them. If you want to follow along with all the projects that we are taking on as we try to renovate this house and clean up the property, make sure to subscribe, and then it won't be long before we are back with more tasks and a new video. See you soon, I hope.